Well, when the going gets rough, the tough gets going. I'm sure you've heard of that phrase before, and that phrase best describes our guest in the studio today on Face Off, Dato Seri Ong Keat. Welcome.
Thank you.
To Face Off, and thank you so much for doing this with us.
Pleasure.
All right, and Ernie Chen, how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Very excited to have Dato Seri Ong here today with us, yeah?
Our resident guest on Face Off, yeah, Dato Seri. There have been countless and lethal attempts to get rid of you by Chua Soi Lek. What have you got to say about this?
Oh, well, in the first place, I don't think that I'm that invincible because in the past few rounds, I would say, I became the target of the power tussle within the MCA way back in 2010. And that was a year when I was unseated as the president of the party and followed by my exit from the cabinet. And of course, all this, we understand that is the prerogative of the party president in influencing the PM.
You're obviously a very big threat to Dr. Chua Soi Lek, because if not, it would not be seen as taking so much action to ensure that you will never ever make a political comeback.
Well, I think the recent episode is I was dropped from the list of candidates.
So he wants you politically dead?
Well, I wouldn't know. But of course, it's unfair for me to draw any conclusion just based on
why are you such
the
a
three
threat?
episodes. Yeah.
Yes, why are you such a threat to Chua Soi Lek?
But I don't think so, because to me, we have our separate path to pursue different ideals in politics. And
Two
in the
very
past,
different people.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And hardly we cross our path in the past.
So are you going to be contesting in the next general election? There's a lot of people wanting to ask this question since you've been dropped to contest this last GE, right?
Yep.
As an independent, with the opposition, all kinds of allegations.
And the manner of which Dato Seri Ong Keat was dropped, we'll come to it later.
Yep.
But
Sure.
first,
Yep.
yes, please answer.
Are you contesting in
Ernie's.
this next general election?
General election or party election?
Both.
Well, certainly I wouldn't call it quit as it is now, even though I was dropped from the list of candidates.
You are not
I was
calling it
denied.
quits.
I was denied
calling
the
it
opportunity to contest, regardless of the fact that people at large in Pandan, of course, they deem OTK as winnable.
Yeah, and you're so winnable, and yet you were dropped by the Barisan Nasional component party as a whole. Why do you think that happened? When you're such a winnable candidate, in fact, we asked the Pandan community and they said, you put Ong Keat there, he's going to win. But yet you were dropped. What do you think is your future in Barisan Nasional?
Well, talking about future, of course, I think it's not for me to say at this juncture. And more so, we all know that the modus operandi of the coalition is that the recommendations made by the respective party chief would have heavy bearing on the final list of candidates.
We know that Chua Soi Lek, Dr. Chua Soi Lek actually threatened to resign as MCA president just before the general elections. We also know that he said if the Prime Minister, Najib, would to put you as a candidate, he will pull MCA out of Barisan Nasional. Is this true?
Yeah, well, of course, I don't have the privilege of participating in the discussion within the MCA because I'm no longer part of it. I'm no longer part of the leadership. But at the same time, of course, I still could remember what you said and was carried by the vernacular press, especially in the run-up to nomination day. Yeah, that seems to be carrying some truth.
So he finds you a really huge threat, either that or he really hates you to the guts.
Well, I wouldn't know, I mean, what kind of hatred or what kind of vendetta he might harbor, he might have against me, I wouldn't know. But to me, I personally, I don't have any personal vendetta against him. Though the,
honestly?
Yeah. Though the gossip, or rather the perception among the party insiders or even outsiders, they tend to argue that, they tend to believe that, the feud between Ong Keat and Chua Soi Lek has never come to an end, and all this because of a personal clash. But to me,
Is it like
that
a
is
Mahathir
nonsensical.
Anwar thing?
No, I don't think so. Because, as I said earlier, we seldom or we hardly have the opportunities to cross our path, let alone crossing sword.
But
Those days.
yeah.
But the problem is, when I took over the presidency, and when I took over the disciplinary case against him, right, due to his involvement in the sex scandal, the DVD scandal, certainly I got to do my job, and perhaps that had ruffled his feathers.
Talking about the sex scandal, I mean, it's always a hot topic talking about sex, right? And it's Dr. Chua Soi Lek. I mean, what a better actor than him being in the video, health minister. So what I want to bring up is this. What was the grassroots and even your thought when the president of a Chinese leading party in the national governing country coalition?
The only one that Malaysian Chinese, I think, would actually look up to for the longest time.
Correct. How would us be able to respect and also be still voting him in as the president?
Well, I think, in all fairness, I think Dr. Chua at that point of time, in fact, he had every right to stand for party presidency. And he was voted in, as you know. But again, we need to make it very clear. This is not the decision made by the community, but rather by certain portion of the MCA delegates.
So another portion does not agree with that.
And I think if my memory were to serve me right, he managed to secure about 38 or 39% of the delegate support.
Personally, do
Yep.
you think that he should have been re-elected and he should be still the MCA president and, do what he's doing until now, not to step down and to continue, and also perhaps stand for party elections again?
Wow. Well, I must say that, of course, at this juncture, everybody is making all sorts of wild guess or
But do you think
speculations.
someone with his record of having been in a sex scandal should be allowed to do that?
Well, I remember when I was the president, I was asked the same question. And when I answered candidly, I said, anybody
But did you
running
have a
for-
mistress?
Sorry?
Did you have a mistress, and did you have a video, take you doing what
No.
you were
No.
doing, perhaps?
And
like
well,
Chua Soi Lek?
I'm trying to answer your question. Well, actually, now when his case was brought to the light, and I did answer when I was asked by the media
Sure.
that any public office holder, of course, now we need to know where the limits are, and we wouldn't want to embarrass a party.
Do you think he has changed his habits or is still practicing this sex activities as the party president still?
I wouldn't know,
Extramarital affairs.
because after all, that is his private life. But to me, what bothers me is not his private life, but rather what kind of impact is going to cause on the party, per se, or even the nation. Because in the past few years, whenever I had opportunities to travel abroad, especially when I served as a minister, whenever I met my counterparts, sometimes on the sidelines of our discussion, people like to crack jokes.
So this is all impacting and is also impactful to MCA, to the party, and this was obviously shown in the last general elections in GE13. So there's nothing much left of MCA, and if you or anyone else was to stand for elections and head the party or be at the helm, what's left of MCA to helm anyway?
Well, of course, I think the grassroots, by and large, of course, they are yearning for changes within the party. But again, the grassroots, I'm referring to the members at large. Many of them, they don't have the voting rights, because the voting rights are still held by the delegates. The delegates, well, in total, that comes to about 2,400 plus. Yeah.
Yes.
And whoever controls the delegates, then he's going to win the seat. In the case of Dr. Chua, of course, currently there's no such provision in the party constitution prohibiting him from seeking re-election.
You were very, very vocal. In fact, you were the champion of the PKFZ scandal. And I would believe a lot of people say to today, you have taken a lot of heat because of raising a lot of concerns on the PKFZ. In fact, many have said that was the cause of your downfall. And today, nothing has happened. The PKFZ is totally silent. What do you have to say about that after all the pain that you have gone through?
After all the whistleblowing.
And it has gone to almost nothing.
Well, of course, on one hand, when I still serve as the MP after my exit from cabinet in 2010, I still raise a question, the PKFZ link question in Parliament. But unfortunately, all my questions were thrown out because of sub judice consideration.
You know you are a winnable candidate. A lot of people in Pandan know you're a winnable candidate. Any plans to be an independent candidate to be contesting in the next general
and
elections?
actually on that question, why didn't you contest as an independent in GE13?
Well, of course, we need to assess the situation, especially now when there's a split in votes. Now, knowing very well that in Malaysia, we have yet to have sufficient room now for the third force. We must acknowledge that. Because currently people are still talking about bipartisan politics, bi-coalition politics. And even at that material time, I could see very clearly that practically there was very little room or no room at all for the third force. And people might be asking, as an independent candidate, even if you were to win, could you dispense with any fund allocations? People are still asking that question. They are not that concerned about the kind of role you are going to play. You know, it's not 100% reliant on, you know, fund allocations from the government, either from the state or even from or the federal government.
So is that why you're still an MCA and you're not in the opposition? You have not joined Pakatan?